Hello everyone. After doing a very long series about Dante's Divine Comedy and using beautiful illustrations and using illustrations by the same artist for my series about Orlando Furioso, I said to myself, why not celebrate and do a video just to celebrate this incredible artist who arguably could be considered a little bit underappreciated today, especially compared to what kind of a genius, a prolific genius, he was during his life. His name was Gustave Dore. Gustave Dore was born in Strasbourg in 1832, and he was a child prodigy. Already when he was 5, he was able to draw with such a beauty and a level of detail that no other 5-year-old around him was able to emulate. And in particular, there is an anecdote about his life. When he was probably 13 or 14, his father and his parents took him to Paris for a visit, and he saw the window of a store that was the front of a newspaper magazine and a cultural club, and he saw some illustrations in the window, and with a little bit of course youthful arrogance, he said to the owner, "I'm actually better than whoever drew those illustrations." But his parents took him away. Then he pretended the following day, he pretended to be sick. So his parents went somewhere else, and as soon as they left him alone, he ran out of the hotel room to the store, back again to speak with the owner, and showed him what he could do in real time. He drew something for him, and the owner was so shocked by not only the quality of his drawings, but also by the speed at which this 14-year-old was able to draw, that he called all the employees, something like 20 people, were grouped together to see little Gustave Dore draw. Needless to say, he was offered a contract almost immediately. His father was offered a contract, and his father, who was hoping for Gustave to become an engineer, had to bow down to his undeniable genius and skills. And I think his father actually passed away only 1 year after this happened. In the course of his life, Gustave Dore created about 10,000 illustrations, the most important of which were duplicated in electrotype shells that were printed on cylinder presses. And he's most famous, in fact, for his engravings. They were wood engravings. He used to draw on paper, and then he himself, but later on there was a team of collaborators who would engrave the wood based on his drawings, based on his sketches and his beautiful drawing, very, very detailed drawings. He became known quite quickly as a printmaker, an illustrator, and a comic artist, because there were comics, of course, back then. And the fact that he was an illustrator, the fact that he was working for comic books or little books with illustrations didn't help him establish a very high or elevated type of fame in the French arts environment. In any case, his works achieved international success, a great international success, very quickly. And to think that he was only 24 when he drew all those gorgeous drawings that are giving a visual commentary to the Divine Comedy, those black and white, three-dimensional, it's almost like looking at a sculpture for how three-dimensional they are. He was 24 when he drew them. That blows my mind completely. But let's try to go a little bit in order. As we said, he was born in 1832, and the list of his works is so endless. He was so prolific, also because of the speed at which he was able to draw. In 1854, after having been working as an illustrator for many years already, he was already a known name. He worked on maybe his first big international success, which was the illustrations of Rabelais' Over Continent, the Gargantua et Pantagruel. very beautiful illustrations for this classic of French literature, Gargantua and Pantagruel. In 1855, he illustrated Honoré de Balzac, Les Contes Drôlatiques, another great success in his career. But we can say that after working on other illustrations of classic books and classic, let's say, works of literature, of French literature in particular, a big break for him came in 1857 when he was commissioned, when he won the commission to illustrate the Inferno by Dante Alighieri. And those works, those panels, as I said, are absolutely incredible. So I'm going to show some of them in this video, and just look at the level of detail and the level of, let's say, the sense of proportion. Something else that I absolutely love about his style is that he had such a sense of setting a scene, almost like a great modern director or a great scenographer. He knew the importance of space. You can feel that he understands space in his drawings. He understands how, even if you, especially if you have to convey a sense of a particular mood or a sense of dread, huge spaces and very small human figures will do that. And that was not too common in his times. Really, really beautiful drawings. And if we think about the work that went into it, from the paper to the wood to the printing machine, the process itself, from a technical standpoint, was also a very interesting one. His Inferno engraving were a fantastic success all over Europe and beyond. Later on, in 1860, he illustrated some Shakespeare, some Stevens, Victor, and it was in 1862 that he illustrated the adventures of the Baron de Munchausen, another great fantastic story. And in 1863 that he produced his great illustrations for Cervantes' Don Quixote. These are, strangely maybe, some illustrations that people are finding randomly today. People who don't know Gustave Dore and who he was and how important he was as an illustrator, they might be today illustrators themselves who scour around the internet, and they sometimes stop in front of this of these gray and black and white incredible engravings, and they wonder, okay, who did this? This is incredible, especially with some of the Don Quixote illustrations, because you can see that there is a depth to them, there is a personality to them, something special that many other engravings of that time really don't have. Look at this Don Quixote sitting with all the products of his imagination and Cervantes' imagination around him, and of course of Gustave Dore's imagination. In 1867, he illustrated Purgatorio and Paradiso, still by Dante. In 1866, it was the turn of John Milton's Paradise Lost. Beautiful, fantastic work. And the works that I've been inserting in my own videos about Orlando Furioso come in fact from the later part of his life. He worked on them in 1877, when at that point he was so established and successful that his own team of engravers and all the people who were helping them were about 30 or 35 people. One of his latest works was what has come to be known as the Doré Bible Gallery, or a series of works that Gustave Dore created to illustrate some parts and some scenes from the Bible, both Old Testament and New Testament, that are astounding in themselves, and I want to really try and show some of them here in this video as well. Gustave Dore never got married, and following the death of his father in 1849, He continued to live with his mother. He illustrated books until his death in Paris. That happened in January of 1883. At the time of his death, he was working on a series of illustrations for Shakespeare plays, some of Shakespeare's plays. In any case, I wanted to really, for the little that I can, celebrate the genius, the art, the imagination, and the dedication of this great artist, somebody who is not remembered in the pantheon of the great painters of French art history, but because of his genius, because of his skills, he probably should be. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you for watching.